We're starting off today with Raw, as Seth Rollins wasted little time in calling out Cody Rhodes and wanted to know whether they'll face off at WrestleMania 40 in April. Rollins made note of the pretty big pop the fans gave, in reference to Roman Reigns' dig that he doesn't get the same reaction that the Tribal Chief receives from fans. Rhodes made his way out, but before he could answer, Drew McIntyre interfered, who disingenuously attempted to convince the American Nightmare to finish his story instead. McIntyre's ploy was for Cody to choose Roman Reigns, leaving him open to face Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship instead. A cheap shot to Rollins and a quick exchange with Rhodes ended with McIntyre fleeing and the faces standing tall, and Drew was once again a highlight despite some issues. Very little about this segment clarified what is going on with the creative forces in WWE, and it's hard to sit back and enjoy the ride to WrestleMania given the lack of direction. On commentary, Michael Cole pointed out that fans will learn the direction of things this Thursday at the WrestleMania 40 press conference, which will have massive implications. WWE also boldly acknowledged the WeWantCody trend twice during the show, so those hoping to see Rhodes vs. Reigns in April shouldn't give up hope yet. Ultimately, we'll have to wait for Thursday to hopefully get a clearer picture, but as of this week's Raw, Cody's Mania match remains unconfirmed. The Rock didn't appear on this week's show, but the WWE Universe made their thoughts clear on the so-called People's Champion. During his promo, Rollins acknowledged the WeWantCody chants, though you may have struggled to hear the champion over the sound of Rocky Sucks chants. Michael Cole even asked if we were back in 1996, and this was the first time in a long time that the people turned on their People's Champion, and was reminiscent of fans not wanting to see Rocky Maivia after his debut 25 years ago. The WeWantCody movement didn't stick to just chants though, as there were also signs handed out with that message, though there's speculation as to who created these signs. Some have speculated that WWE themselves made the signs, though there's no hard proof of this, but if so, it wouldn't be the first time WWE handed out signs as part of the show. Whatever the case may be, the WWE Universe clearly wants to see Cody Rhodes face Roman Reigns in Philadelphia, and it'll be interesting to see how WWE responds. The Rock's return comes at an interesting time for WWE, as both CM Punk and Brock Lesnar are out of WrestleMania, which some have believed caused The Rock's comeback. It had even been reported that the Great One chose to come back to save WrestleMania, but it turns out his match was set in stone over a month ago. Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio said that The Rock vs. Reigns was part of the deal he signed upon joining TKO's board, with nobody except a few important people knowing. This may be why Rhodes won the Men's Royal Rumble match, only to experience such a weak follow-up, and Meltzer said nobody in WWE could answer why Cody won the Rumble. This certainly implies that not even Triple H was informed about the planned Rock vs. Reigns match, as he'd likely have gone in a different direction with the Rumble had he known. As previously mentioned, the current plan is for Rhodes to face Seth Rollins at WrestleMania in a significant downgrade from the original plan for the American Nightmare. Roman's promo on SmackDown, burying the World Heavyweight title in the process, has done WWE no favors in that regard, making the Cody-Seth match seem even less important. WWE is well aware of what the majority of fans want to see, but the Rock-Roman match is seemingly set in stone, despite what those who make up WWE's fan base may wish. Despite the backlash, WWE has been continuing to hype The Rock for WrestleMania, including at last weekend's NXT Vengeance Day show in Clarksville, Tennessee. As we've seen at live events, the fans didn't take too kindly to any mention of The Rock and booed the Great One, but WWE took measures to deal with this response, as Fightful reports. Throughout the show, when The Rock was shown on WrestleMania graphics, the crowd would boo. There were efforts made to cover up this reaction by production. It's telling that WWE is putting a lot of effort into making sure the fans can't be heard reacting to someone who, sooner or later, will have to appear in front of a live crowd. The Rock never appeared on NXT programming, but his daughter Ava is the Gold brand's general manager, and recently shared some horrific reactions to her father's return. On Twitter, the fourth-generation superstar asked fans to leave her out of this, and while she didn't state it, it's believed she was talking about the backlash to The Rock's return. In a follow-up tweet, Ava said that she has been on the receiving end of death threats, which is obviously a step too far no matter what fans may think of WWE's booking. One person who knows The Rock and Cody Rhodes well is John Cena, and if you've seen his Instagram, you'll know he loves to share cryptic posts. In one of his latest posts, Cena shared a photo of The Rock and Roman Reigns from SmackDown, but in the comments, fans made it clear they want to see Cody Rhodes. WWE has a real dilemma on its hands which could make for a difficult road to WrestleMania, and we'll just have to see if changes are made en route to Philadelphia. For the most part, WWE's on-screen talent has kept quiet on the backlash to The Rock's comeback, but some have let their voices be heard, including Pat McAfee. On the Pat McAfee show, the Raw commentator acknowledged the disappointment of fans and the WeWantCody hashtag, and explained why fans are so angry, saying, "Wrestling fans are incredibly pissed off that Cody Rhodes was supposed to get the job done finally. There is a title, the one that Roman Reigns has, that Dusty Rhodes was handed in Madison Square Garden and then taken away. Everything Cody has been doing, he's been trying to get the title back into his family, seemingly going to have to wait another few months while The Rock, the biggest star in the world, the biggest star on the planet Earth, will be taking on his cousin Roman Reigns for the head of the table conversation, which has been chatted about forever. I love Cody Rhodes, I love The Rock, I love Roman Reigns, I'm very torn on this entire thing. The internet was not happy." McAfee's love for all three men puts him in a personal dilemma, but he acknowledged the significance of the head of the table storyline and the allure of a Rock vs. Reigns match. Despite the fans' disappointment, McAfee highlighted the uncertainty around storylines and noted that there are still months to go between now and WrestleMania 40. In WWE, surprises and changes in direction are not uncommon, and this situation remains fluid, with fans eager to see if the promotion will make changes to what's currently planned. Pat McAfee had plenty to say on his show about the current situation, and on Twitter, Sami Zayn shared his take on the news story that's dominated every facet of WWE since Friday. Zayn's tweet didn't necessarily focus on The Rock's return or the volatile reaction, but he said he'd weigh in if not for the actual tragedies in the world that make wrestling drama unimportant. Zayn added that he realizes that many people use wrestling drama as an escape, and he's glad he can play a part in that, noting that this really is a me problem. However, due to the strong reaction from fans who are eager to see Cody Rhodes in the WrestleMania 40 main event instead of The Rock, Sami Zayn eventually deleted the tweets. But what do you make of this situation? Is the Cody movement having a Daniel Bryan effect which could force WWE to change WrestleMania plans? Let us know in the comments. More from Raw now as Drew McIntyre once again relished in costing CM Punk a main event match at WrestleMania and debuted a new shirt to brag about it. The shirt in question shows McIntyre gloating next to a tombstone of Punk's WrestleMania dream as the Scottish Warrior is having a blast with Punk out of the picture. On Raw, Cody Rhodes finally exercised his demon yet again as he defeated Shinsuke Nakamura in a Bullrope match. The crowd, like in many other matches of the night, didn't show much excitement early on, but it intensified as the match continued, and by the end, the fans were right there. Drew McIntyre attacked a celebrating Rhodes after the match, leaving him lying with a claymore and muddying the WrestleMania title scene even further. Making the Mania card less clear is something that appears to be an initiative of the creative forces on this road to Philadelphia and helps create intrigue and interest in the show. The downside, though, is that it hurts the overall quality of the product, as twists and turns can make angles and segments feel rushed or thrown together on the fly. Maybe the stuff with Cody, The Rock, and Roman Reigns is some of WWE's finest storytelling that'll unfold in the coming weeks, but right now, it feels very messy. Messy is hardly what fans want out of WWE TV at the hottest period of the year, especially with fans already angry that they feel their voices are being ignored. With that said, WWE is seemingly caught on to the WeWantCody trend, which may explain why they've yet to confirm a Rock vs. Reigns match so far. Michael Cole pointing out the movement on commentary only adds to the belief that WWE is open to changing course, as does the rumor shared by many, including Wade Keller, that WWE handed out signs to the crowd. Cameras immediately caught the signs during Raw's opening segment, and we have to think that if WWE didn't want fans thinking Rhodes could face Reigns, they'd cut away from these signs. WWE again acknowledged this movement during a Shinsuke Nakamura promo, and with all this speculation, only time will tell what's in store for fans at WrestleMania 40. Backstage, R-Truth was still convinced he was part of the Judgment Day, despite last week's beatdown, and an exacerbated Damian Priest told Truth to make himself at home. This segment created hope that Truth may still be sort of part of the faction, and in the ring, his ally The Miz faced off against JD McDonagh. A back-and-forth affair saw Truth interrupt and throw shirts into the crowd, even collecting money from some fans, which proved distracting for McDonagh, who lost to the skull-crushing finale. Truth has been fantastic, and even if you would prefer it to not involve a faction that is supposed to be destructive, the act has gotten all involved more over than before. Backstage, Imperium told Adam Pearce that everything should be ready for Gunther's 600-day celebration before Braun Breaker interrupted proceedings. Pearce made his pitch to acquire the former NXT champion's services, and it was interesting that Breaker was part of this segment in particular. Breaker is the last superstar to get a clean win over Gunther, that being on the 500th episode of NXT back in April 2022. And could Braun be a future challenger for the IC title? Speaking of the Austrian, Gunther made his way to the ring to celebrate 600 days as Intercontinental Champion and had some choice words for Ludwig Kaiser. Gunther said that while he appreciated the sentiment not to do this celebration again, before stating that no man could beat him, a comment Jey Uso took exception to. Jey and Gunther shared verbal barbs, with Gunther discounting his work with Jimmy, which led to Uso throwing down with the Austrian. The champion would flee to the outside, and with that, we have the seeds of a program, one that could see Jey earn his first taste of singles gold. A red-hot babyface against one of the best and most credible heels on the roster is a recipe for success, possibly in a high-profile encounter at WrestleMania. In 2021, John Cena donned the helmet of Peacemaker for that year's The Suicide Squad film, and would reprise the role for a Peacemaker series with HBO. Now Peacemaker is set to join the world of Mortal Kombat, and this week, fans caught their first glimpse of Cena's character in the MK1 video game. This isn't the first appearance of John Cena in a non-WWE game, as he also appeared in Fight Night, a game that has seen multiple WWE superstars involved. Cena voices himself in Mortal Kombat 1, and despite his catchphrase, fans will get to see plenty of him in the Ultraviolet game when it's released as expanded content. Later this month, WWE will host its Elimination Chamber event in Perth, Australia, and by the end of the show, we'll know Rhea Ripley's women's world title opponent for WrestleMania. It's been confirmed that a women's Elimination Chamber bout will decide Ripley's opponent for April, and we already know our first entrant into the match. On Raw, Becky Lynch faced Shayna Baszler in a WrestleMania 36 rematch and Elimination Chamber qualifier, with Baszler showing plenty of offense against the man. Baszler was able to prevent and disarm her, and at one point seemed poised to exploit an injury and pick up a submission victory of her own. The ever-resilient Lynch fought back though and delivered a manhandle slam to get the win, with the man now set to step into the Elimination Chamber for the first time ever. It's almost astonishing that for all her accolades, Lynch has yet to compete inside the structure, and one has to consider the Irish superstar a favorite to win. After all, prior segments with Rhea Ripley have made a match at WrestleMania appear guaranteed, regardless of who else joins Lynch in Perth inside the chamber. Speaking of which, Liv Morgan said her path of revenge ends with Ripley and starts next week when she faces Zoe Stark in a qualifying match. Enraged over the attack she suffered last week by Nia Jax, Rhea Ripley was in a foul mood on Raw, and Adam Pearce did very little to raise her spirits. In a promo, the Raw general manager announced that he's booked Ripley to face Jax at Elimination Chamber in Perth, which brought out the irresistible force. WWE has done a great job building Jax up as an unstoppable force and legitimate contender for Ripley, who is destined to be the biggest face in her native Australia this month. More from Raw, and in four-way action, DIY took one step closer to a shot at the tag titles by defeating Imperium, The New Day, and the Creed brothers during the show. The match was action-packed, with the rivalry between the New Day and Imperium taking center stage, while the Creeds once again showed to be one of WWE's most powerful teams. Despite all this, it was the veterans DIY who scored the win, and they'll now head to SmackDown to face the Blue Brand's four-way winners, Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. That match will be a barn burner if there ever was one, and should be a must-watch for any wrestling fan, especially those who have followed the force since NXT. The winner of that match will head to Elimination Chamber and compete against Finn Balor and Damian Priest, though both matches are very appealing. In mixed tag action, Ivar and Valhalla picked up a win over Alpha Academy's Akira Tozawa and Maxine Dupri in a match that felt too rushed to accomplish all that much. In a women's tag title rematch, the Kabuki Warriors retained against Kaden Carter and Katana Chants, and we'll have to see which team steps up in time for WrestleMania. Last week, NXT held its Vengeance Day event, and while the show was a success for the most part, it did feature some very scary botches through the broadcast. In the middle of the Dusty Classic finals, the top rope on one side of the ring seemed unusually slippery, which led to a seriously dangerous spot involving Braun Breaker. Breaker, who was in the headlock of Carmelo Hayes, tried to break through and sought momentum on the ropes, but the slippery top rope didn't cooperate. Breaker's head would get caught between the ropes, and later in the match, the rope gave way when Mello tried to execute a dive off the top rope. In an update from Fightful Select, it was said that the rope tightness was questioned due to these spots, and that all involved in the match left a little banged up. Fortunately, none of the WWE superstars sustained any serious injuries during the incidents, but this situation could have been much worse for all involved. Now, Jade Cargill made her WWE in-ring debut during the Women's Royal Rumble match, and after an impressive showing, fans are curious to see what's next for the ex-AEW star. Last year, Jade said she knew which brand she'd sign with, but was keeping the information to herself, but now, PW Insider reports she's yet to be officially assigned to a show. The original plan was for her to join Raw, but in the ever-evolving world of WWE, plans can change, and right now, the former TBS champion is a free agent in WWE. WWE is not going to rush things with Jade Cargill, who they see big things in the future for, even if it's unclear what brand those big things will play out on. The Royal Rumble also saw the return of Andrade, who has since signed with the Raw brand, and PW Insider reports that the current plan is for the ex-AEW star to be a babyface. Andrade's return has generated considerable anticipation, and his talent and charisma have the potential to make a significant impact after a unique time working for Tony Khan. We've got some sad news to report now, as Joshi wrestler Asahi has died at the tragically young age of 21 in a car accident. Japan's Actress Girls announced the tragic passing, and in response has canceled their February 9th show and said they'd be announcing a new date very soon. Asahi made her wrestling debut at age 14 against then All Japan Women's Champion Manami Toyota, and after taking a break from the ring in 2020, returned the following year. In 2023, Asahi concluded her contract with the Ice Ribbon Company and joined Actress Girls, and though this was supposed to be temporary, she decided to officially join the promotion. Her final match took place on January 31st, mere days before her death, and we'd like to offer our condolences to her family, friends, and all those affected by this tragedy. Since his release from WWE, Mustafa Ali has been competing in various promotions as part of his world tour and recently made his debut for TNA Wrestling. Now we know when Ali's debut match will be, as it's been confirmed that the ex-superstar will challenge X-Division champion Chris Sabin at TNA No Surrender 2024. That show will take place on February 23rd, and we'll have to see if Ali's first match for TNA ends with him standing tall as the new X-Division champion. And we're ending with Nick Nemeth, who's taking the wrestling world by storm with his post-WWE career, and now the Wanted Man has landed a starring role in a notable comic book adaptation. It's been confirmed that Nemeth will star as Ricky Thunder in the Absolute Ricky film, an adaptation of Kyle Stark's comic book, The Legend of Ricky Thunder. The comic and film revolve around Thunder, a legendary wrestler who has to grapple with the fact that all of his success comes from scripted encounters. As if that isn't daunting enough, Ricky then learns that aliens plot of taking over the world through pro wrestling, and it's up to him to stop them. This won't be Nemeth's first lead role, as he starred in WWE Studios' Countdown in 2016, and we'll have to keep an eye out for when this project gets a release.